Hi, my name is Nate Seeskin, and I'm a program associate here at the Shared Use Mobility Center. And today we have the great opportunity to hear from Eric at the Bay Area Transportation Authority in Traverse City, Michigan. Eric, would you like to introduce yourself and talk about some of the work you do in overseeing a really exciting mobility on demand project?
Sure. So I'm Eric Lingaur. As Nathaniel said, I am the Director of Communications and Development for the Bay Area Transportation Authority. We are located in Traverse City, Michigan, which is in northwest Lower Michigan, right on Lake Michigan, one of the Great Lakes there. We service two county regions, so Grand Traverse and Leelanau County. It's about 900 square miles of beautiful countryside. We provide both fixed route and demand response, now on demand services. Non-COVID, we usually give about 600,000 rides a year, and so that's kind of our ballpark of what we do. My particular role is external communications, public engagement, advertising, marketing, also community outreach, and technology falls under my jurisdiction. We're a small team, so we all kind of do a little bit of everything here at BATA.
Great. So could you, my understanding is that over this past year or so that you've implemented a really new demand response project that's sort of split into two components. One is a mobility on demand component and the other is a non-emergency medical transportation component. Could you describe this link on demand project?
Sure. So you're right, as you said, that it's kind of in two different pilot phases. The first is we were calling just Link on Demand. And what we did is we took our traditional dial-a-ride service back in August of 2020, and we upgraded it to an on-demand model. So we took what's called CityLink service, which services in around Traverse City, and we just basically gave it a kick in the pants and made it an on-demand model, which has been fantastic. And so that started in August of last year, like I said. And then there's also this other element that's kind of layered on top of the Link on Demand called NEMT Plus. So Link on Demand NEMT Plus, and that's non-emergency medical transportation. And that pilot started in January of this year, January 2021. It's a 6-month pilot, so it's going to run through here till the end of June. And that focuses on looking at providing NEMT transportation in a rural setting using an on-demand model. And so it's kind of got all those different components combined into one.
Great. And so in looking to start this pilot, you applied and received a grant from the Federal Transit Administration through the Integrated Mobility Innovation Program. Could you describe what that process was like?
Sure. That process was long, we'll say. So we, back in the spring, summer of 2019, so kind of June 2019 is when we officially submitted our application for this project. And then we heard that we were one of the recipients in March of 2020. Since the submission and the application, and then actually the receiving of the notification, that has been a great process. Having access to you guys at SUMC and being connected to all the different other IMI projects and having connections through the FTA, that has been just a really, really unique process, and it's been beneficial to kind of being able to share information and bounce ideas and be kind of guided through the process. It's been a really great experience from that perspective.
So what outcomes then have you seen between both the MOD and the NEMT components of Link on Demand?
So the main outcomes that we've seen so far have been just improvements in efficiency. I think is, if I was going to highlight one aspect, it'd be improvements in efficiency, and that's across the board. So not only from an internal perspective, but also an external perspective. So both on our staff side and in our rider side, basically doing more with less. is what we've seen from applying an on-demand model to our traditional demand response dial-a-ride services.
And have you had to overcome any barriers or challenges with this pilot?
So this is an easy default one, but COVID, right? I mean, so we were planning on launching our on-demand model in March of 2020. And then COVID craziness hit, and then we delayed it to May, then we delayed it to July, and then we were like, you know what, we got to do it. COVID's not going anywhere. We've got to launch this. So we ended up launching August 1st, 2020 in the midst of COVID. So that was a challenge, right? Because of not knowing what your ridership looks like, not knowing what the health landscape of the community looks like. Definitely that was a big challenge. Another challenge to overcome would be technology in general, both from a staff and from a user experience. Change is hard. Anytime that you implement a wholesale change, because at first when we thought about trying an on-demand pilot, we thought about maybe just experimenting with a couple buses inside of our service area, and we decided to just rip the Band-Aid off and just go full bore and upgrade our entire CityLink system to on-demand, and that was a good move to do that. But anytime you have change, and especially when it's new technology, that can be a challenge. It's a new learning curve, right? How do I find my rides? How do I request a ride? What do all these newfangled alerts and notifications mean? The people are becoming more familiar, both from a staff side and from a rider side, of using technology to get things done. People in the community have been asking for an Uber or Lyft type service in this area. And so it was meeting those expectations, but there's always that hurdle to get there. So I would say those were the two main barriers to overcome, was COVID and just learning to adapt to this new technology.
And so now you said you're coming up to the end of your pilot period for this for this Link on Demand project. Are there any plans for this type of project beyond the pilot period?
Definitely. So I'll talk about just Link on Demand in general. Because we've seen these efficiencies across the board from having this type of service model, we are looking to expand it to our whole service area. We want to do on-demand transportation throughout our whole service area, not just around Traverse City. So that's kind of where the evolution and the progression looks like it's going to go for Link on Demand. And that pilot officially ends on end of July here in 2021. We see it continuing and expanding throughout our area. Now on the NEMT Plus side, we want that to continue too. We are in the phase right now of kind of seeing what sustainability looks like from that perspective. Are the medical clinics going to want to participate moving forward? What does kind of the ridership look like? What does the process look like in continuing to book those rides and continue to offer them, and to also to have billing on the back end to receive payment for those rides? There's a little bit of homework that we need to do from that perspective, but we would like to see the NEMT Plus component continue as well.
Great. So it's really, so it seems like you want to make this program sustainable and you want to make it an ongoing effort in the future.
Definitely. We've seen the positive outcomes from it already, and it just makes sense to keep the value is there to keep it going.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Eric. I really appreciate the time that you're able to take and sharing your experience in developing this program, and I really want to thank you.
Yeah, thanks. We're excited to share about this project.